Welcome to the October 2024 meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee of Community Board 1 in Queens. I'm Richard Kazami, Chair, and we appreciate everybody joining us. Our district manager, Florence Caloris, has put in the chat a link to the Community Board's website in case you want to gain access to information like upcoming events and upcoming meetings. This is the go-to place, so please take advantage of it. Okay, this is a working meeting of the committee. Therefore, comments and questions are closed to the general public and will be limited to committee members and community board members. But again, please refer to our website for further updates and events if and when they become available. Today, we are joined by the New York City Parks Department to discuss their proposal to create a new park playground on public land and a mapped street that was never constructed. This is on 20th Avenue between 75th and 76th Streets. With that, we would like to invite Mira Burkhauer, Chief of Staff, the New York City Parks Department of Queens, to join us. She will introduce her team and begin the presentation. And just for your information, we appreciate that she has a hard stop at 7:30. Mira, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us tonight. So before I begin, I'd like to just give a quick intro to the team that we have here. So besides myself, I'm from the borough office. We also have Monet Davis, who's the park manager and oversees the maintenance and operations of the park in Community Board 1. Also from my team, we have Alex Sokol. And then from the Parks Planning team, we have Colleen Alderson and Emily Humes. So I'll just do a quick intro, and then I'm going to hand it off to Parks Planning, who's going to go through a brief presentation. So the Department of City Planning is working with an applicant who would like to acquire a portion of 20th Avenue. That's an unbuilt map street, as Rich had mentioned before. So Parks would like to have a portion of this land transferred from DOT jurisdiction to Parks jurisdiction in order to create an open space. We're interested in transferring just the green space portion of 20th Avenue. While Parks is not involved in the overall action with city planning, we wanted to introduce our position and role regarding retaining the property for Parks purpose. So I'm going to turn it over to Colleen Alderson from Parks Planning to do a quick presentation. I see Colleen, but you're muted, so you just have to unmute yourself and share your screen.
She seems frozen, at least to me.
Okay, actually, I don't even see her face.
You may have to leave and come back.
Okay.
Yeah, she seems frozen. Yeah.
All right. Colleen, if you can leave and come back, I guess. Oh, she's saying she's not able to unmute.
I had the same problem earlier. Tell her to leave and come back.
Okay. Colleen, are you able to leave and come back?
She's coming back in.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I just let her back in, so give her a second.
Okay, great.
Okay, can you try and unmute Colleen?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Bravo.
Okay, So sorry about that. Okay, second time's a charm. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try to share my screen. We just have like 4 slides to share. So bear with me 1 second. Let's see if I can manage this. Can you guys see a screen that says 20th Avenue elimination?
Not yet.
Jeez. Okay. Okay, here, wait. Okay, how about now?
It's about to start. Looks, here we go. Yep.
We all good? Okay, I'm so sorry about this. So as I said, just a few slides, and just so this first slide here, so as a little bit of what Mira touched upon, we're aware of an applicant who's proposing to eliminate 20th Avenue between 75th and 76th in Astoria Heights, within Community District 1. The total area of the street to be eliminated is about half an acre. And the applicant is proposing to purchase the city-owned portion, which is about 7,627 square feet. And as far as we're aware, there's no specific development scheme that the applicant is looking to carry out. As we understand it, the applicant is proposing to merge 2 lots, 1 and 45. The other aspect of this is that there was in an environmental review a set of potential development housing sites that could be realized as based on as of right zoning. I'm going to turn on to the next slide. Let's see. So this is a picture of an existing accessible site from the sidewalk, as you can see here. And in our review of this project, we're proposing that for the city-owned portion, a portion of it, that the city retain it to be continued as public open space for the community. The area we don't have any specific plans for it. Right now, it's serving as a passive open space, as you can see in this picture. And I'm gonna go to the next slide. Down the block is Carlos Lila Park. It's an existing New York City Parks property that we maintain. And the location of the portion of 20th Avenue that we are looking for the city to retain is not within a walk to a park gap area, which is a big initiative of the city for a number of years that we look to make accessible public open space for all New York City residents. But this space is located in a very park poor area of the city. It's about the existing open space ratio is 0.66 acres per 1,000 residents, which is about half of the citywide average given across the community boards. So it's in that view that we looked at this proposal and thought that it would make sense for the city to retain the portion that it owns. Let's see. This is just a bird's eye view of the location of the site. In red is the portion of the 20th Avenue that is owned by the city. What we are looking for the city to retain for park purposes has a black dashed line around it. There are some existing improvements by the adjacent property owners that we're not looking to be part of this. We also recognize that there's an additional area at the back outlined in yellow. There is a fence line that goes beyond what the city owns. And so to keep it as how it exists today, we would be interested in that additional part, but it's the red, within the red area, the black line that the city owns, that we believe that this existing open space would be prudent for the city to retain to add to the public open space for the community district. So we are very happy that you have allowed us to speak to you, committee members, about this application, and we're very interested to hear your thoughts or questions that you might have about this 20th Avenue and the actions and what we are thinking might be the prudent thing for the city to do here.
Okay, thank you. Is there any way you could maybe zoom up on this last slide? Because I'm having a hard time myself seeing the areas specifically. It's
Yes, let's see if I can do that.
Yeah, and if you could go through that explanation again, maybe use your cursor so that it's
Sure. Can you see my cursor?
not yet, but that's me. That could be me too. Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well,
So you can see that 20th Avenue is like this angled area that cuts through. It's bordered by a set of different tax lots. You've got 1, you've got 28 and 30 on sort of the north side. On the south side, you have 45, 76, 75, and 55. And 20th Avenue in between those tax lots. Not all of 20th Avenue between 75th and 76th is owned by the city. It's only the area outlined in red. The rest of it it's not actually quite clear exactly who owns it, but demapping the street is something that an applicant put forward. And when we looked at this application forwarded to us from Department of City Planning, we recognize that there's some existing open space, is how we view it, on that fronts on 76th Street. And so because it's already city owned and that this is a park port area, and whereby we actually are in the process of going through a land use project to try to identify private properties to add to existing public open space resources. And this is a park port area. We thought this is already city owned, and would it make sense to retain this to add some public open space for the community? So that is what we considered and thought through. And we've been talking to city planning and some of the folks involved in the application. And we wanted to talk to the community board. I'm not sure who might be aware of this application that's been filed, but we wanted to just explain the overview, give you from our perspective our thoughts on it, and hear any questions or comments, feedback that you might have as this process is carried out.
okay. All right. Thank you. I'd like to start with letting everybody know that's on this call. Again, this is a meeting that is restricted to comments from the community board, either committee members or board members. Those of you that are watching that have more comments, please feel free to reach out to the community board with your comments in the chat. The contact information is there to reach out to us. So a couple questions I have. First of all, am I right in saying that you don't know at this point who owns the other land that's going to be demapped? Just you just know this portion of it?
As far as I'm aware, I don't know that a title report has been done. Sometimes for streets, the bordering lots have that half of the street tied to their property, and that might be the case for this street. We just know that the red is city owned. So it could be that the owner of 1 and 45, own half, that's the same owner as I understand it. They might have that portion, but it might be some of those other lots that own another section of it. So, with this street elimination, this would allow for those property owners, as per deeds and what have you, to possess the 20th Avenue that belongs with their property. So does that make sense? Or
yeah, it does. I mean,
okay.
basically there is some land there that may be demapped, but could be already within title of a property of another owner, a private owner.
Correct. And this street elimination would allow those property owners to possess that portion of the street, as we understand it. So that's the situation there.
Okay, a couple other questions. Have you done any outreach at all to the community, or is this the beginning of the process?
This is basically our first touch point. Mira, you can correct me if there's been any other outreach. But our instinct was to reach out to the community board. This ULURP will end up coming to the community board. But this idea of the city retaining as open space, this is our first touch point. But Mira, please correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, no, that's right. And just a reminder that there's two things that are happening. It's there's an applicant through city planning, and I don't, whatever process they're going through, when Parks was brought into the mix, because there's this what looks like open space, but is technically a DOT street. And we were approached about possibly, that this is something that is here and could possibly be Parks. When we started looking into this, we knew we wanted to come to you, the community, to basically like introduce you to this idea of this area possibly becoming a park.
Okay. Also, from what I understand, also there was another playground that was recently closed to the public. It was behind the local school. So I know that in effect has reduced the amount of green space available, at least to the general public. And I guess the last question is that in this area, first of all, would you guys commit, if and when this goes forward at all, that you would have vision to really be able to get input from the community as to what they really want, and information on what their issues are, be it equipment, be it what do they want a dog park, what kind of security should they have? All these kinds of things are very, very important. So we'd like to have your commitment as that in fact you would go through that process.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're really just looking to keep it as a passive park space. But in the future, if there was something, yes, obviously we would come to the community.
You just want to keep it as passive space, basically a multi-use field, basically, is what you're saying? So you would continue the existing use in a sense. Right now, I think this facility is used by the young people and by people in the neighborhood.
Right. Yeah. And we wouldn't even consider it like quote unquote a field. Like it wouldn't be something that we permit or anything. It would just be open lawn space for use.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'd like to go now to the community board members, the committee members in particular. If anybody could raise their hands if they are interested in and have questions, please do. Okay,
Mario has his hand up.
Mario?
Yes, hi. I see on I don't, is that a public parking lot, like a municipal parking lot, or is that a private parking lot?
I'm sorry. This is coming from Parks. I missed the first part of your question. I apologize. I don't know if anyone else heard it.
There's a parking lot on the map behind the property. Is that a public parking lot or is that a private parking lot?
So you are speaking of what's shown here in that back end?
Yeah.
On the 5th Street.
Mhm.
As far as I know, that is not a municipal parking lot. I believe that it might be associated with lot 1 and the use there.
But just,
I'm not
Colleen,
sure.
I just want to jump in though. Like we don't know, like it's not it's not part of any of the action that the Parks Department is interested in transferring from one jurisdiction to another. That's not part of the map street that we're talking about today. So we don't know. That's part of what the applicants and city planning are working on together. So we don't believe it's a public parking lot, but we can't say for sure.
If it were a public parking lot, though, or a municipal parking lot, would it be possible to include access through that parking lot so people could get there from 20th Avenue?
Well,
So,
sorry, I just want to say that portion is not owned by the city. So just to make that clear, it's maybe not quite clear who owns it, but it is not owned by the city.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Mario. Amy.
Hi, Colleen, can you bring back the other map that has the lot outlined? Yeah, that one. So looking at this, you said that the red and black dotted is the New York City owned. And you do not know what the ULURP application is for, like which lot, right? Is that what my understanding?
Technically, the street to be demapped doesn't have a tax lot. So it's this
That's-
angle.
And
Yeah.
and the way the 20th Avenue is cut off with both a park and a parking lot, it's been essentially not functional as a street. It's a through street, correct?
Right, correct. It is not an operational street, correct.
So I guess we'll have to wait until Land Use Committee gets the application from the site to understand how everything's sort of connected. You guys don't have any information on what the development will be?
I think it's probably, we don't know the specific details. There was an environmental assessment done, and there was a scheme outlined there of what could be done. But I just want to clarify one thing from this map, because it is a little confusing. So the red outlined is part of 20th Avenue, proposed to be demapped. The red outlined area is city owned. The black dashed line, which is within the red line, is what we Parks Department are looking for the city to retain to create as a public open space for the community. And it's a little bit smaller from the red because there are some existing improvements on it for adjacent homeowners. And we recognize that. So we're not looking to, it's the existing green space today. There are some improvements that are within the red line from adjacent owners, but that's not what we're proposing to for the city to retain for public open space. So I just want to make that clear. What that red and dashed black line are.
Thank you.
Any other questions from any committee members? Evie, yes.
For some reason, I can't raise my hand because I'm the host, I guess. So anyway, so thank you so much for the presentation. I think it's great when we hear that the city wants to add more green space or preserve it. And so this is public land. So I like the fact that the goal is to keep it for public use. I think that's really important. Is this called Wilson Park also?
no, that's just, I don't know why on Google Maps it says Wilson. I don't know
Okay, yeah,
how that got the name, but it's not a public park right now. It's not considered in parks jurisdiction. It's DOT jurisdiction.
Okay,
and I don't know how.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering.
It's
I think there is
confusing.
actually a sign that says Wilson Park somewhere. Because I tried driving by it, I think last week or something. So, and just so I understand this correctly, you are looking to possibly also purchase where the yellow as well, potentially. Definitely the red. So the red is already city property, right?
Correct.
But then that yellow area might be something that the city would like to purchase, perhaps.
Yeah, and as I said, it's not quite clear the owners of that property, but we recognize that there's a fence line at the back end that goes beyond where the red line is. And so with this demapping, it's uncertain what could happen with that, but the black outlined area is not contingent on that additional area. We feel like the area, the black dashed line, it's about 6,400 square feet. That is sufficient on its own. But looking at the existing conditions, we just recognize that back area. So that's what that is.
Thank you.
Okay, any other committee?
I'm sorry, I just want to, and obviously acquisition is a little different than transferring of properties. So, there's more of a different process, maybe a little bit similar, but a little bit different, and it would require also, funding.
Okay. Amy, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, a follow-up question. Well, okay, now two follow-up questions. You just said that acquisition, this is not an acquisition, this is an actual transfer.
Yeah.
So you don't have to raise money for this, right?
Correct. So it's a transfer of funding. I see Colleen. Please jump in if I'm wrong. If anything, there's always a cost associated with changing the city map. So if it's going from DOT to parks, but I think with the private, the yellow, because it's unclear who it belongs to, but if it's not parks, then yes, that's a property that we would have to acquire, and then there'd be an amount that would be associated with that acquisition. And Colleen, please jump in if I misstated anything.
No, that's right. And that's where we've been, city planning comes into play. But for the city-owned portion, the street demapping would enable the jurisdiction transfer of the existing city-owned land. The yellow is a little bit different. That would require some additional actions.
Okay. So I'm really horrible with geometry nowadays. I've forgotten all of it, but I'm looking at this green patch, right? So under 11 and on the lot 55, there's still a triangle that is part, I assume, of this green space. And then there's a little corner that's not within the red map on the north side of that by 76th Street. Like, what is it possible to just grab those? What is going on with that triangle on lot 55?
Well, we do recognize for lot 55, they, ideally need to have street access. So, and how their property is built out today. So that's why the black dashed line.
I see.
On the north side, on the lot 30, there's a little bit of a side yard that is within. So that is that other additional part that's closer to 76th Street, that's part and parcel of tax lot 30. So it is a little bit odd geometry. You are very correct. The way this is and the slanted roadway, it makes it a little odd on those triangular areas on the north and south side.
I'm sorry, it's just odd. I just wanted to ask.
No, it's a fair question.
Okay, one other thing I'd like to just make sure, there is nothing that would result in any kind of an alienation process with Albany on this, correct?
No, that's when Parkland goes away. This is not in Parks jurisdiction. So as far as I understand, I don't think that's a required action. It's mapped as street on the city map. So that's its intended purpose by the city and how the property was acquired. So it wouldn't fall within those parameters, I believe.
I think one other question too is, since this is just going to be kept as passive, a passive area, and I don't know enough about the proposal coming from city planning at this point to make any recommendations, but if there's a situation where you would be open to sharing the space so that in fact the buildings could still be constructed, but there would also be some open space kept. Often situations like this, some sort of compromise might work. I know, Evie, you're shaking your head, but sometimes that does happen. So I wondered if that's something that would be considered. I don't even know what the proposed housing is. We won't know that until they come before our planning committee. But is that, it might be in the cards?
I think if you look the street portion of the black hatched area, it's pretty limited width really for public access. I think it would be difficult. It is not a tremendously large parcel. So I think it would be a little tricky to be able to do both. And it would be, yeah, it would, I don't think that would work.
Okay, thanks. Just wanted to throw it out there.
For the black outlined area, right? There's other ideas. I mean, they will come before the board and, you know, what might happen to that, you know, as part of the application.
Okay. I'd like to ask now, are there any non-committee members of the community board that have anything that they would like to say? If they are, please raise your hand. Okay, nobody? Going once, going twice? Well, okay, thank you so much. We'll be back in touch, I think, once we get more information in terms of from city planning and what's going on. But we do appreciate you guys coming down and letting us know what you're thinking about doing. And you know, we hope that everything really works out the best for the community. That's what we're trying to do. So again, appreciate it, and look forward to seeing everybody soon from Parks. We have one more section on the upcoming budget. So if committee members, make sure you stay, please. And we appreciate having everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, and again, anybody in the public that has any comments, please, please, please go to the information Florence left in the chat to contact the board office, and you can let us know what you're looking at. We thank you so much. Okay. So, committee members, all I wanted to say is that we went through the budget process. We really appreciate all those that submitted their priorities, and we have put them together. We emailed them to you last week, and I just want to check and make sure that there's no questions or issues that anybody has, and it's going to be submitted today or tomorrow, actually, right to the budget committee once everybody accepts it as is. This won't be a vote or anything like that, but we'd just like to know if anybody has any issues. So again, going once, going twice.
I think I may have had a question, but I can't remember what it is. I didn't realize I had to like prepare for this meeting tonight. I think if I can pull up the list, and I thought I had a question. Can you give me a minute?
Okay.
So committee members, thank you for waiting. I'm sorry to keep you. I think there were a few things that we wanted to remove from the old list, Richard. I just want to confirm that.
There was a couple of things that were duplications.
Yeah, and so like also under expense, last year there was a 16 passenger van. I think we can eliminate that, right?
No, actually, Parks wanted to, when we had our meeting, I had the meeting with Florence for their budget meeting with us. They actually asked that we retain that and actually add the Packer truck to it.
Okay. And I'm definitely removing the Socrates Sculpture Park personnel to open at 8 a.m. I talked to them and they said that's not necessary.
I know, that was basically,
I don't know where that came from.
wait a second, let me check something. I thought that was removed. Let me go look at.
Well, I'm gonna remove it before I send it back to the committee. I just want to check on a couple of those things. And then the funding for, you had funding for school for
Mhm.
dance, music, and theater programs.
Mhm.
Shouldn't
Yeah.
that be going under education committee? Does it matter? I mean, I can like,
I mean, you know, we reached out to, this is a request, or we reached out to, the Green Space, you know, from, the dance company here, and they, basically, this is what their request was. I don't know, that could go either way, because these are all
Yeah.
cultural things.
I mean, culture and education, definitely.
Together, yeah, so.
Okay, so I might come, like, I might add to, dual agencies to that one.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that was my only question.
Okay, very,
Let me
I
check.
just, Richard, I know that we were wondering about, what to leave on the list, what to take off once something is funded. And I actually did get a response.
yeah, you got a response? Okay.
Yeah, 2 hours ago. So I'm just kind of looking through my email, but basically OMB recommends, and there's no rule or established way to do it, basically saying, I don't think they need to continue to keep something as a priority that's already been funded. They should use continued support.
Okay,
And there were quite a few items in there that, the agency
Right.
response was that it was funded, and we did not include any of those in that list, so.
Okay. But to put it as continued support, basically, is
Okay.
what they're saying.
all right, so I'll just move those things now, because the list is getting long.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
You have an active community board, that's what's going on. They're out there, they want to improve everything.
That, and we have a lot of needs.
Good. Okay, good. All right, so then, it's being submitted now to Amy's committee, the budget committee, lucky you. And, we really thank everybody for their participation quite a bit. And, at this point, I guess, we will, ask for an adjournment. Anybody, with a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Juliet. Okay, thanks, everybody, and see everybody at the, next general meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
Bye-bye.